Hey, sixth grade, good morning. Happy Friday. Mr. Schaefer here for your pod lesson. Thanks for being here digitally. Hopefully your homeroom teacher's showing you this, so let's get right to it. Announcements. So we are still in the yellow zone for our COVID-19 restrictions. So far so good. Most of you guys are making your best effort to keep these masks on, to be distant in the hallway when you're walking, staying to the right, avoiding large crowds. We do need to remember that unless you're a long ways away from somebody you're eating, you need to have this on. Okay, remember we started school in green. We've since moved to a different level based on our community spread, and we want to avoid moving towards red. So no, they're not fun. It's not easy. I have had to remind a few of you in the hallway. And the hallway especially is the best time to wear those because there are a lot of people around. And any kind of close contact could spread and take out a lot of the fun stuff that we like. School, sports activities. So wear them. Try to be decent. Okay? If you're not feeling great, talk to your parents about staying home. And again, this is difficult stuff. It's not easy. All of us maybe don't feel super comfortable in the mask, but we're doing it to protect yourselves and the people at home. Yes, the virus can hit kids pretty hard. It's not as likely, but it certainly hits older people. So folks that are in contact with older parents or grandparents, or remember you have older teachers and aides here. So together we can do this and get through it. So do your part, please. We're going to talk about elections right now for student body. You guys are sixth grade, so you don't know a lot about it. You're going to have 5 people from your grade that are going to represent you on the student council with the rest of the student body. Pretty important position, so please consider running. I'm going to recruit you here in a little bit on trying to run, but you guys that vote, the whole grade votes, think about what you want as a candidate for president and all these other positions because it's kind of good practice for elections in general. We are dependent on good, fair elections in America and making the best choice that you want to make based on what you think is a good leader. So when you get time to vote here in a couple weeks, don't just, oh, this person's my friend. I kind of think they're funny. They gave a good speech. Who do you think is really going to do a good job? So think about it. Now, all you guys that are thinking about being candidates, please get out there and do it. Here's the different options that you have. Here's a little intro into our student body. That's the very first group I put together as student body leaders, and it's really fun to see some of them grown up now. So if you want to be one of these officers, pay attention to their different duties. So first up, boys and girls rep, 2 separate positions. And these are people that may not have the most responsibility. They are on the group, they have a voice, but they need to be good listeners. This is somebody that is comfortable with a wide range of people. That there's a shy person who thinks, I don't love this part of school, I wish it would be better, and they don't feel comfortable coming to me or a teacher. They may know their girls rep or boys rep and go to them and say, hey, I wish this was different. Okay, so low responsibility, but good listeners who get along with a wide range of people throughout your grade. Okay, next, secretary. I know I have a picture of a female young lady there answering phones, but a secretary can be a male or a female. Okay, no stereotypes or anything there. And this is somebody who's very organized and can keep people on track. Okay, and really they have quite a bit of responsibility in making student council work, just like Mrs. Nybar in our office is probably in charge of most of the school, not really me, okay? So secretary, you will have some responsibility. You better be pretty organized. Could be a boy or girl. That's one position. You may want to run for that. Next up, vice president. So not going to lie, you should probably be aware of who's going to run for president and making sure that you could work with that person. In fact, you may want to team up with somebody because they would work pretty closely as kind of a Batman and Robin situation, all right? So before you just go in there and say, I want to be VP, know that you could be the person in charge. Okay, you kind of step in for them, so you will have some responsibility, but you may want to ask around and say, hey, if you want to do vice president, I do president. That way you could be a nice duo, a dynamic duo, if you will, at the top. And then finally, president. So you could be 6th grade class president. Hopefully that's something that's interesting to you as a potential leader, all right? They're the person that stands up there and is out front and works with me a lot. And if you want to be somebody who thinks, I want to make school great for people, I'm okay working with Mr. Schaefer and kids in other grades. There's only 15 total people on student council, 5 for your grade, and there's only 3 presidents. And I asked their opinion on a lot. I have them do some projects to help me with, and I think it would be good. So if you feel like you're a leader, a natural leader, you want to be out and help people make the school better, consider running for president, all right? How does it work from here? So starting today, I believe, this morning, I believe it says, September 11th. Mrs. Bammer will have petitions for you, all right? You need to declare what office you're running for right there on the page. Write your number. Hopefully Mrs. Bammer will make you do that before you even leave with the paper, all right? And then you need to get 25 signatures from your classmates to know that they are in support of your candidacy, all right? We try to get 2 to 3 people for each class, and maybe more, or for each candidate, to try to run for that office. We don't ever want to have just one person running for boys rep or just one running for girls, because elections are about choice, and if you only have one person, you don't really have a choice. So if you're interested, even if you have any interest whatsoever, get petitions, and then during class passing time, and not during class or skipping or anything, but when you can, start getting those things signed tomorrow. They are due by Tuesday, by the end of the day. You can take them back to Mrs. Bammer, signed, filled out, and on the back of those, there's some more questions and answers about how elections work. So if you're curious, check that out. All right? From there, Wednesday, September 16th, that's next Wednesday, campaign week begins. You can start hanging posters in the hallways. There are some rules about posters. Check with Mrs. Bammer on the back of your sheet for that, and you start trying to show and get people interested in your name, get your name out there, and run a good election. If you need some tips on how to win, and you really are serious about this, come see me, I'll give you some tips. And then eventually, on Monday, September 21st, so that's a week from this coming Monday, we're gonna have pod speeches, and we'll figure out how to do that distantly. But you get up there and you tell people, here's why I'd be a great secretary or boys rep. And then at the end of the day, we vote, and then I will announce who our new student council for 6th grade is that day. So, like I said, we want as many people as possible to run for an election. So please do so if you're interested. All right? Pod lesson for today. I want to remind you from last week. We always do this just to say, hey, remember what we talked about last week? We talked about our core values as a school, and they're all built around those acronyms. And we have posters coming soon to remind you of those. So we have the work hard, take responsibility, make positive choices, and show respect part. And then the Beavers acronym that we'll try to remember is builders, eager learners, accepting challenges, valuing diversity. I almost remembered all of them. Empathetic, resilient, and solving problems, all right? That's what we're trying to be here as Beavers at WTMS. So don't forget that. We also talked about SMART goals, and you wrote them down in your agenda. So if you haven't done that yet, do it. Homeroom teachers, yeah, you in the back, you drinking coffee, hanging out, taking a break. I see you guys. Mrs. Bernhardt, where are you? Make sure that those things are in their agenda. And you kids, go back and check on those things quite often. Remember, we just made them for first try. And look back and say, how am I doing? How am I making progress towards those? And without goals, you guys are just going to wander in life. We need an end in mind, all right? So make sure you've written those and that you're checking them. From now, so I'll make this pretty quick, but as your pod teacher, I know that you guys don't all know me yet. In 6th grade, you know some of my family, so real quick. Hey, I'm Mr. Schaefer. Hi, if I haven't seen you. That's Mrs. Schaefer, who some of you know. Family's grown since then and gotten a little older. That's Zoe and Sawyer, and we have Miles now, all right? And then about me just a bit as your teacher, here's some things that I really like. Reading and writing, a big part of my life. I have 3 sports teams that are a pretty big deal to me. If anybody wants to talk to me about Duke, please don't, because you won't be my friend. And then I love going to movies and watching movies, and those are, other than my family, my main interest. All right? So that's me. Hi. What are we doing in pod? So generally we are in pod. COVID has made us do this a little bit differently, but we're trying to have not just here chemistry and science and math and language lessons. Those are certainly important and are the core of school, but we also care about the whole child and your life lessons that you can develop as a better student, but as a better person too. So that's what pod is all about. For you, we are focused on this book right here. Okay, and this is why this book. We're talking about the 7 habits of highly effective teens. That's what my videos will always be about. And you'll learn those 7 habits this year, okay? And that sign says that, careful, books are dangerous. They can change your life. This one certainly can. I've read a lot of books to try to help people become more successful. This is my favorite, okay? It's simple, and it has 7 things that you can do that will really help you out, all right? Habits, if you don't know that word, okay, we think of like chewing fingernails, things like that. But they're things that you do on a daily basis that you're pretty commonly, going to do, and your tendencies, your habits, all right? Yes, tendencies and habits are strong. That's what that buffed babies telling us, but also you're stronger than them. So if you have a habit that's great, that's productive, that makes you reach your goals and be successful, good. If you develop bad habits, that's not good, obviously, but you can change them at any age, especially now. So we're trying to help you develop those good habits. And then we usually end things with something to think about. Just know that if you think, hey, people judge me by how I look or who my family is, not really, okay? What you're doing on a day-to-day basis when I walk down the hallways and see what kind of person you are, if you're being kind and having a positive impact, that's what I judge you by, is your actions and your choices, okay? And that's what habits can dictate. So homeroom teachers, I'm gonna need your help for the next part so I can do this as fast as possible. Okay, so if this thing moves along for me, there it is. I got lost a little bit.